Hey everyone, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk. Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm Crystal Kennedy, and this is a show where we bring you the day's biggest movie news, and of course we give you insight into what it all means. Joining me, as always, is AMC Movie News Senior Editor, Mr. John Campea.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the show, coming to you from Hollywood, California at the Stream.TV studios. We're so glad that you joined us today. Got a lot to talk about.
We also have joining us in studio, director of the upcoming film, The Death of Superman Lives. What happened, Mr. John Schnepp?
Hey, what's going on? Thanks everybody who came out to the Los Angeles Stanley Kamikaze.
Yes.
And anybody who was at the panel that we were all at. It was a lot of fun. I hope to see you guys there next year. Stanley's Kamikaze, it was just a great freaking nerd fest. Yeah,
a lot of fun.
One of the obvious repercussions of J.J. Abrams taking on the director duties for the upcoming Star Wars Episode 7 is that he would no longer be available to direct the third installment of the new Star Trek franchise. Since the announcement, there has been a lot of speculation about who may take over the reins of the USS Enterprise, and it looks like one name has emerged. Reports have surfaced that Attack the Block director Joe Cornish is in early discussions to direct Star Trek 3. Cornish is also a frequent collaborator of director Edgar Wright and co-wrote the screenplay for Ant-Man with Wright. John, what do you think of Joe Cornish directing Star Trek 3?
The one word that really comes to mind about hearing this news is indifferent, maybe even lukewarm. I Attack the Block, I was a victim of, you know, a movie comes out that everybody starts raving about and you're a little bit late to the party, and then by the time you watch it, it didn't meet your expectations. You're kind of like, eh. Attack the Block was that movie for me because all of my friends, all of my colleagues were just raving about Attack the Block and how amazing it was, maybe best film of the year. And then I finally got around to watching it. I'm like, it was okay, I guess. And so I haven't seen enough of Cornish. No, I'm really excited that he's directing or writing Ant-Man with Edgar Wright. I think that's really cool. I mean, if Edgar Wright trusts the guy and works with him a lot and wants to go back and continuously collaborate with him, that says something, so that's cool. But, you know, so at this point, if he ends up directing Star Trek, maybe it'll be the best decision in the history of Hollywood. But for right now, for me, I'm kind of lukewarm on the whole idea. Schnepp, what do you think?
Well, I've been following him for a long time. He's been doing the Adam and Joe podcast, and he had an Adam and Joe BBC series. Check out Vinyl Justice on YouTube. My girlfriend turned me on to all these guys a long time ago, many years ago. So I think he's incredibly funny, and he's got a wicked sense of humor. He's great friends with Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, and Edgar Wright.
Right.
So bringing him into the Star Trek fold definitely means there's going to be a little bit, I would hope, a little bit more humor in there. But also I think, you know, Attack the Block, it's funny you said that because I'm a little bit with you, but I liked it a lot more than you, but I wasn't like blown away like my friends were. But I really did like it, especially for his first feature film, knowing what a sci-fi head he is. He did it on a super low budget.
Yeah, he did.
So that's what sometimes the expectations when you're like, it's the most incredible thing, you're like, it's a small film. If it just came out and you saw it on TV, your mind would have exploded. But instead, sometimes friends build things up too much. But I really liked it, and I think he's a great pick. I mean, it's an off-the-wall pick for sure. But I think I was like, the more I thought about it, I was like, yeah, let's just lock him in and make that happen. I think that's a good idea.
All right, let's see if it actually comes to fruition.
A few weeks ago, we reported that Universal Studios had canceled the upcoming Vince Vaughn and Haley Steinfeld film Term Life. Now it appears that the film has new life, as it is being reported that QED International and Worldview Entertainment will finance the film, with Universal staying on as the film's distributor. Term Life is described like this: if Nick Barrow can stay alive for 21 days, he'll die happy. Everyone Nick knows wants him dead. Mob bosses, contract killers, and dirty cops. Performing the last act of a desperate man, Nick takes out $1 million insurance policy on himself payable to his estranged daughter. The problem? The policy doesn't take effect for 21 days. Schnepp, what do you think of Term Life getting a second chance?
Well, just a couple weeks ago, I was like, man, Term Life, you know, out, retired, now revived. And I said it a couple weeks ago, hey, maybe someone could throw it in turnaround, but I wasn't that bummed out. You know, I'll buy that it gets a second chance. I love film noirs. So let's see it. Somebody else was like, hey, you know, you're not going to make it, we'll make it. So that's the great thing about Hollywood, media, and entertainment in general. Nothing's dead until it's never dead. So
yeah, I'm really happy about this because when I heard that it was off the rails, I was kind of bummed out about it. We talked about it on the show a couple of weeks ago when Universal said they weren't going to produce the film. It's kind of cool that they're staying on to distribute it, which must mean they have some kind of faith in the project.
Right.
I'm really curious to see Vince Vaughn play a role like this too. Now, obviously, him being in it on board, I think there's probably going to be some humor elements to it. I got to admit, I haven't read the graphic novel yet myself. I've been looking for it though ever since this announcement. But a lot of people forget that Vince Vaughn was he started his career off kind of as being touted as the next great dramatic actor. And then he kind of took a turn towards comedy after that. So I'd be interested to see him in a role like this where obviously there's going to be some big dramatic elements, but obviously there's going to be a little bit of comedy as well. I love the story outline. This sounds really, really cool. So for me, this is really, really great news. All right, folks, listen, there are a few other items in the world of movie news. Not a lot today. It's kind of a slow news day. But Chris Lee's got them in front of her. She's going to run them down, and the Schnepp and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Chris Lee, what do we got?
The upcoming film Mad Max Fury Road is tentatively set to come to AMC theaters in 2014, but very little is known about the project, with only a couple of images leaking online. Now the film star, Tom Hardy, has confirmed that he is heading back to reshoot more scenes for the movie, which has been in production since 2012. John, buy or sell Mad Max doing more shooting?
I got to sell it. I mean, look, I've been saying for a while now that just because a film is doing reshoots, that can be a really good thing. But Mad Max Fury Road has been in development forever. And they've been shooting and reshooting and now more reshooting. And this more and more to me is sounding like a bit of a mess. So, and the fact that we haven't seen anything from it, like this picture behind me is like the only thing that's come out that they're letting anybody see. And for me, it smells like trouble to me. So for me, for now, it's a sell. Schnepp, what about you?
I like that.
I buy it. I'm forcefully buying it. Simply because I think either going back to shoot second and third movies, they're shooting back to back. They're making the trilogy
all at once.
All at once. You know what? I'm buying it just because I have faith in George Miller. I've wanted to see a sequel or a follow-up to Mad Max or a remake or a reboot. They got a great guy, Tom Hardy. He's incredible.
Yeah, they really do.
That one picture that they gave us 4 years ago or whatever, come on! Where's the trailer? Just pop out a teaser, 10 seconds. Charlize Theron with her bald head screaming, a car going off somewhere. You know, my friend did the production design, so I've seen all the cars. They're incredible. I'm just telling you, it looks great. Put a trailer up, please. Thanksgiving, just 3 weeks from now, just a little teaser. I'm sorry I'm yelling, guys.
Thor: The Dark World may not open up in North America until this Thursday night, but the film has already opened in several international markets around the world, which has allowed the film to already take in an impressive $45 million at the box office. This amount means Walt Disney Pictures has reached $2.314 billion internationally for the year. That's just chump change, breaking the studio's previous record of $2.302 billion for 2010. Schnepp, buy or sell Thor: The Dark World, pushing Disney to its new box office record?
Well, I obviously buy it, seeing as I'm a 75% shareholder in Disney international conglomerates. I've just made $3.7 billion quadrillion dollars. I buy it anyway. I'm very happy to see that Thor is rocking it. Everyone here at AMC has seen Thor: The Dark World except me.
And me.
And Chris Lee.
And me.
And John's going to see it like the 8th time tonight.
I'm seeing it again tonight.
But yeah, I buy it, and I think it's mainly because of Jamie Alexander. That's, she was on the show with us on Friday, and just that pure power of hers, 45 million, so.
I got to buy this. I'm really very happy for it. And it's weird to think that this year Disney breaks its box office record when last year was the year that Avengers was out.
Right.
So, how good has this year been? I mean, obviously Iron Man 3 was a huge bump for them. And, of course, when Thor opens in North America, that's when the really big bump and really big push is coming out. Yeah, I have seen the film already, and I'm actually going to go see it again tonight. I'm going to the world premiere tonight. If you follow me on social media, actually, I'm going to be tweeting and Instagramming out a whole bunch of pictures and videos from the red carpet tonight. And Krista Lee and Dennis will be covering the red carpet as press night. So there's going to be a lot of really cool stuff going up online tonight. I really like this movie. And I'm so happy that Disney is breaking its own records with the movie that's actually really good. So I'm really happy about it. Going to see it again tonight. Probably see it for a third time later this week. So for me, overall, it's absolutely a buy. All right, folks, listen, before we get to the mailbag, I want to remind you that Thor is opening up. And as a matter of fact, on Thursday, November the 7th, that's this Thursday, at a lot of participating AMC theaters, you can go and be a part of the Thor Marathon. For one ticket, you can see Thor, Avengers, culminating in the 8 p.m. screening of Thor: The Dark World. We're going to have a link in the description of this video, just look below, where you can click on and go get all the information, where all the theaters, where you can get your tickets, all that kind of stuff, so go on out and check it out. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I sent our very own Amy Rose Eisenbach over to London to go and interview the cast of Thor: The Dark World, and right now we just want to share with you the conversation she had with Loki himself, Tom Hiddleston. Check it out.
So you can teach method, you can teach technique, but you cannot teach likability, and you have that in spades.
Thank you very much.
How do you do that? And you're the antagonist. How do you do that?
It's it's so gratifying for you to say it, and I don't know. I don't know. I just have enormous fun playing this guy, and you know, he's the god of mischief. So it's actually my job to turn up and have a good time. To be playful, to be teasing, and that kind of unpredictable firework in the pack where you're not quite sure. You light it and it spins off in a direction, and that's Loki. So.
And who doesn't love mischief, right?
That's it. That's it.
So what fans love so much about the story is the relationship between Loki and Thor. It's very polarizing, but it's very complex and layered.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about that relationship that we love so much?
Wow, good question. I think it's the fact that it seems so relatable. It's the relationship between a brother and a brother is this sort of ancient archetype. Rivalry, competition, they love each other, they hate each other, they need each other, they define each other. It is, like you said, it's complex. Ultimately, I think it's sort of the fact that they were once loving siblings and then became mortal enemies and are now forced to become complicated allies is really, it provides a lot of material for tension and drama and comedy too. And I guess it helps that Chris Hemsworth and myself we are very good friends, and we love playing out that particular tennis match.
And you can feel the chemistry.
Good.
So Kenneth Branagh set the tone of this world so brilliantly. It's very rich, and I feel like Alan Taylor was such a great fit to continue just unraveling this complex world and introducing new realms to us.
Yeah.
What was his approach and just the energy like that he brought to set?
Well, I think one of the main things he really wanted to do was he very confidently wanted to expand into Asgard and give it texture and a sort of I think he just wanted to make it more epic, but also more real, and so there's a lot more. There's more of Asgard. It's not just the palaces that you see. You see outside that. You see a training ground. You see a tavern. You know, he wanted to shoot in Iceland and to shoot in real physical locations, and but he also wanted to keep. You know, it's a big. It could be described as a space opera, as a you know, a grand epic, a superhero film, a sci-fi film, a fantasy. But actually, it's a film about family, and he wanted to keep it, you know, in very like accessible. Those things are very accessible. Brothers, fathers, mothers, what happened? You know, star-crossed lovers, all that kind of thing. So yeah, Alan was amazing.
Throw some great humor in. We've got it all, don't we?
That's it. Yeah. A little sprinkling of some comedy.
Absolutely. So why do you think AMC theater audiences are going to love this movie?
Well, I love AMC theaters, I should say, because when I was, we shot Kenneth Branagh's Thor in Los Angeles, and I lived in Venice because we were shooting in Manhattan Beach, and the closest movie theater was an AMC in Santa Monica, and I went to see so many films there, and so I have huge affection for those places. They just make they make the experience of going to the movies really fun.
I live in Santa Monica.
There you go.
Thanks for spending time with me.
So you know, so you know the one I'm referring to.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, we
Yeah.
cannot wait to have it on AMC screens. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much
Such
indeed.
a pleasure speaking with
Nice
you.
to meet you.
Once again, Thor: The Dark World opens in AMC theaters everywhere this week. And once again, check out the description for the link so you can get your theater showtime and movie ticket information for the Thor marathon. All right, folks, we've come to that part of the show called Mailbag. Now, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. We get over 1,000 questions a week. We take time every single day to answer a couple of them. So right now, Chris Lee's got a few messages pulled out. So Chris Lee, what do we got?
David Keith writes, "Hey guys, straight to the point. I have heard 2 of my favorite franchises are getting new movies. 1, Assassin's Creed with Michael Fassbender, and 2, the Crow reboot with Luke Evans. But only knowing that they're coming and who's starring in them, I've heard nothing since. Should I be worried?"
As far as I know, no, we shouldn't be worried about either one of them. The Michael Fassbender Assassin's Creed, we have heard news about that recently. Fassbender's been talking about the production. He's also a producer on it as well as starring in it. Everything is moving along. That's fine. With the Luke Evans and the Crow thing, yeah, we haven't heard much about it, but he is still on. And I love this casting, by the way. I love Luke Evans. I think this dude is just awesome. And just because sometimes studios will announce things long before they start production. Long before. I mean, they announced J.J. Abrams is directing Star Wars a year before they're going into production on that. So until they go into production, there's really not much more news to give. But as far as I understand, as far as I know, Luke Evans is still on as Crow. Have you heard anything different?
No, I haven't. But since your question is that you're worried about it, don't worry about Assassin's Creed. Keep worrying about the Crow. I mean, the Crow's gone through so many manifestations over the last few years. Like, how many are they going to reboot it? Is Ryan Reynolds the Crow? Is Bradley Cooper the Crow?
Yeah, he was
a whole bunch
about
of people have been the Crow and never been the Crow. So it's like, so if you want to worry about it, I say worry about the Crow. You know.
All right, what's next?
John T. writes, "Hey, I was wondering what happens during pre-production of movies. How do they know what to make the budget? How do they schedule everything, etc.? And why does it take so long? After the script is already done and right before shooting, that gap seems far too long. I know there's a lot to be done and a lot of people involved, but it seems like it could be done quicker. Adversely, post seems quite long as well, too. Sorry, making up my own words here. Just hoping to get a better understanding of the professional movie making process works."
Hey, it's a fair enough question. But everybody involved in the movie industry right now is completely rolling their eyes. But for somebody who's not, totally fair question. Pre-production, okay, how do you know what to budget to film? Well, you get these things called a line producer, and look, there's a lot of things that go into it. But the long and short of it is this. Pre-production is the most expensive part of the movie making process. So you have to put in an awful lot of work to make sure that when you start production, everything goes as smoothly as absolutely possible. You know, the first film I ever did, I think we shot for 3 weeks. 3 weeks we shot the film, but we were in pre-production for like 4 months because pre-production covers everything from getting the script touched up and developed, then doing set design, location scouting, prepping visual effects, building sets, casting, scheduling, all this world of stuff goes in to make sure that when you start shooting this movie, there's a reason you can film a motion picture in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, because so much work goes into pre-production, and there's 1,000 different things that have to be done. Now with post-production too, look, you shoot movies on set, but you create the movies in the editing bay. So on top of visual effects and sound mixing, everything, that's why post-production is so long. There's a lot that goes into making a film. And that's why like the pre-production, post-production, all that kind of stuff takes so long, especially pre-production, because you want everything to go as smoothly as possible. Schnepp, you're a filmmaker. How would you address the question?
Yeah, I mean, let's say you just covered live action. I'll cover documentaries, making a documentary.
Oh, yeah.
You also have to wait for people to become available. Like,
Yeah.
I'm waiting, I'm trying
And
to make
live
a
action
documentary.
film, same
Oh,
thing.
yeah, for sure. You have to work availabilities into your shoot, but you try to build that around it. Henceforth, once again, pre-production. The bigger films that have tons of special effects, they're in a year, 2 years of pre-production. Before they even announce it to you guys, they've been working for a year on just artwork, pre-production. They've been working on Star Wars designs a year before they even announced J.J. Abrams. They had the whole team working on it. So, I mean, that's a big facet of it. With animation, you also have to have pre-production and post-production and production with animation is all rolled into one giant nugget of pain. It's like, here's a 2 year, I swore.
We'll beep it.
Okay, I've been so good for a year, guys. So 2 years of production rolled into one thing. That's pre-production, production, and post-production, all in animation, because it all happens at the same time. So I mean, that's kind of it's just a lot of work, and that's why it takes so long. I mean, tomorrow you could basically pick up a camera and shoot a 90-minute movie by yourself with no edits, and you can call it a movie. But that's not really what we're talking about.
Right.
We're talking about real feature films and television production and all those kinds of things. So,
All right, I mean, that's a real simplified version,
Yeah.
but I hope that gives you a basic idea.
And you want them to take their time, because when they don't take their time, they tend to go straight to DVD, and then we don't see them. So you really want them to take their time. So patience. Kyle Kizu writes, "Hey everyone, so yesterday, John, you said that Christopher Nolan is a better director than Joss Whedon, and that in maybe 5 years or so, he will be in the conversation with guys like Scorsese and Spielberg, but not on their level. I'm a Nolan nut. I love everything he's done. I'll admit, though, that The Dark Knight Returns has some solid plot holes, character inconsistency, etc. But other than that, I think that everything else is almost pure gold. Maybe there's too much plot in movies like The Dark Knight and Inception to the general audience, but I wouldn't ding him for that. I think it's more appreciative that he doesn't dumb down the content. So what I'm getting at is, why isn't he on the Spielberg or Scorsese level?"
Yeah, yesterday on AMC Mailbag, the question came in, hey, Joss Whedon created the greatest Marvel film with Avengers. Christopher Nolan created the greatest DC film with the Dark Knight trilogy. Which one's better? And I said, look, I'm a huge Whedonite. I worship at the altar of Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon is my master now. But there's no Christopher Nolan. When you look at his pantheon of films that he has directed, there's really no comparison yet at this point. Christopher Nolan is the better film director. But I did say also, too, now he's not on the same level as Steven Spielberg. There's no shame in saying that you're not on the level of Steven Spielberg, because that is the level, is Steven Spielberg. And then I had some people saying, hey, no, I think Christopher Nolan, surely people who are under 20 years old, writing me say, no, Christopher Nolan is the greatest director of all time, and blah.
Right.
Okay, look, I am a huge fan. I was a big fan of Christopher Nolan before being a fan of Christopher Nolan was cool. I'm kind of a hipster Christopher Nolan fan in that way. I absolutely just love this guy. I think he's an incredible director, and I'll watch anything this guy makes. But at this point, let's talk again in 20 years, but at this point, he is not in the same league as a Steven Spielberg. I mean, come and talk to me in 20 years when Christopher Nolan has consistently been making all-time greatest films for 30 years. Come back to me and talk to me when Christopher Nolan has a couple of Oscars on his mantle. Come back to talk to me then. Look, I love films. I talked about Insomnia the other day. I think that is Christopher Nolan's most underrated film. I love that movie. But you mentioned films like Insomnia to a lot of people, or Memento to a lot of people, or even The Prestige to a lot of people, and they'll go, oh, wait a minute, what movie's that again? You say Jaws, boom, everybody knows what you're talking about. You say Close Encounters of the Third Kind, one of the all-time greatest sci-fi films ever, boom, everybody knows what you're talking about. You say Jurassic Park, boom, everybody knows what you're talking about. Say Schindler's List, boom. You say E.T., boom. You say Raiders of the Lost Ark, boom. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on and on. This guy has made more films in what could be considered the greatest films of all time list than any other filmmaker. I mean, the only other guy that I think comes close to a guy like Spielberg, the guys who belong in the same conversation with Spielberg would be guys like Kubrick, would be guys like Hitchcock, would be guys like Scorsese. But, I mean, that's the creme de la creme de la creme. Right now, Steven Spielberg has 7 Best Directing nominations, with 2 wins and a Lifetime Achievement Award. Christopher Nolan, no nominations, no wins, although he really did deserve a nomination for Inception. I still don't understand that one. But look, when you go down the pantheon, like we already said, Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, Amistad, my favorite Steven Spielberg film.
Color Purple.
Color Purple is another one. AI, Catch Me If You Can, Minority Report, Munich.
Munich's amazing. That's super underrated.
Saving Private Ryan. I mean, it goes on and on and on.
It's like there's 10 directors wrapped into Spielberg.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's done comedy, sci-fi, drama, action. He can do it all. My one criticism of Christopher Nolan right now would be, and it's a very minor criticism, it's actually really a nitpick, is that so far all of his films all have kind of the same tone. I'd love to see Christopher Nolan take a shot at a flat-out comedy. I'd love to see what he does with something like that, see him get outside of his comfort zone a little bit. But listen, to say that I don't believe Christopher Nolan is in the same conversation yet with like a Steven Spielberg, that is no insult whatsoever. It's like going up to a new upcoming nice, great little hockey player and saying, hey, yeah, you're really good, but you're no Wayne Gretzky yet. You're talking about the greatest hockey player of all time. It's not an insult to say you're not him yet. So, no, they're not. Christopher Nolan, Steven Spielberg are not in the same conversation yet. But give Nolan another 15 years. He's amazing. If there's any director working right now, young director right now, who I think has the possibility of getting into that conversation in 10, 15 years, it would be Christopher Nolan. Anyway, Schnepp, how do you see it?
I see Nolan like a Wes Anderson. I mean, he's like an auteur type who has a very specific style that he brings to every single one of his movies.
Yeah.
It has a tone. Like if you look at Memento and you look at The Dark Knight, they have a very similar tone.
Yeah.
Insomnia and The Dark Knight have a similar tone. Totally different subject matter, but there's a tone that's similar. Not saying that Spielberg, he doesn't really have a specific tone. He's just an incredible director.
Yeah.
He can take any type of story and tell it successfully and add some kind of magic to it that is gripping and amazing. So same thing, I mean, Scorsese definitely has his own kind of a style. You could see a Spielberg movie and you could see a Scorsese movie and know what you're watching pretty much.
Right.
At some point while you're watching, you'd be like, I feel Spielbergian, you know what I mean? I think Nolan has that too, but he just hasn't produced enough.
Yeah.
Like actually, not just directed, but also Spielberg has produced hundreds of movies.
Literally
hundreds of movies he's produced. Nolan, I think he's produced Man of Steel.
Right.
Like one or two other.
And Nolan's young.
I know, that's
Let's
what I'm
give him
saying.
lots of time.
That's why I agree with you.
Yeah.
Like 15, 20 years, his name will probably be in that plate of producer-directors. But yeah, I mean, he's super talented, but he's not, it's apples and oranges. So.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
I'm still kind of laughing at you calling yourself a hipster, John. Sorry.
If anything, I am not.
Guys, I was in Memento before it even came out.
Bryan Benjamin writes, hey, John, do you think if movie theaters would reduce their price, there would be less pirated movies? Thanks and love the show.
First of all, I love the succinct question. That is really good. Let me address this from a couple of angles. There's a misconception going around, I think, with a lot of movie fans that just movie theaters just willy-nilly make up movie ticket prices and movie theaters. And look, before I say anything else, take anything I say with a gigantic grain of salt, because by definition, I am biased. I work for a movie theater company. Now, you can also check out anything I said prior to when I worked with AMC on my old websites. You can see what I'm about to say, I've been saying for over a decade. But still, the fact that I work for AMC, take what I'm going to say with a grain of salt and make your own judgments, all right? Now, that being said, a lot of people understand that when you go to, I think the average ticket price right now in America is just a few pennies under $8 is the average movie ticket. Now that's taking into consideration the really expensive IMAX 3D tickets with the, Sunday afternoon matinee ticket prices. And so the average movie ticket price right now in the United States of America is about $8. Now, when you go to a movie theater and you pay $8, that $8 does not go to the movie theater. The movie theater is lucky if they keep 1/3 of that. So let's say on a $10 ticket, then you go to the movie theater and buy a ticket. The movie theater only keeps around $3, okay? Sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a whole lot less, but around $3 of that is what the movie takes. Movie ticket prices are really more established by the movie industry as a whole because, studios charge theaters, what they're going to show, how much of a percentage of the movie tickets studios want to get. I think the whole system needs to be revamped, myself personally. But getting to your question about, do I think if the whole movie system revamped itself and somehow find a way to lower ticket prices, do I think that would reduce movie piracy? I've been addressing this question for about 7 years, and the most honest answer is no. Because, look, you can get on iTunes and buy one of your favorite songs for 99 cents, for heaven's sakes. 99 cents! But people will still pirate it. You can get on iTunes once again and buy an episode of, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., why ever you want to watch that. But you can get on there and buy an episode for, is it $1.99 for an episode?
Or $2.99.
Or $2.99. Super cheap. Yeah. Super cheap. And yet there are still little grubby thieves out there who, think they're entitled to whatever, and they will find a way to steal it. So, do I think that if the average movie ticket price in America was $7 instead of $8, do I think that would have an effect on piracy? I really don't think so. And one of the other things too is keep this in mind in terms of relativity. At $8 a ticket, if you want to go and take your girlfriend to go see a movie tonight, dude, you're spending more money to take her to Wendy's Like if you decided instead to go to Wendy's tonight, you're probably spending the same amount of money that you would have spent to go and get 2 movie tickets to go. Obviously different if you're going to a big hyper IMAX 3D immersive quad-core butt pinching seats and everything.
D-box.
The D-box and everything. Maybe that's a little bit more expensive. But I mean, generally speaking, if you were going to go out to the bar tonight and just have 2 beers, you're spending more on that than taking your wife or whatever to go see a movie tonight. So keep the cost of that in perspective as well. But I don't think it would have any effect. When people are stealing 99-cent stuff, I don't think this would affect it at all.
Right.
Anyway, how do you see it, Schnepp?
I think people who are going to download movies are going to download movies. I mean, and that's a small group of people. Most people are going to be like, I understand the process. For me,
and fewer people are doing it actually,
yes.
which is a really nice.
Well,
nice
I think
thing
it's
to
like
see.
you understand the process. I mean, for me, it's always been like when I go see a big budget movie, I understand that somebody put $30 million into that movie, and I get to see that for 10, 15, even 20. I live in Los Angeles. If you live in a smaller part or not a big city, tickets are less.
Yeah.
Here in Los Angeles, we're paying $20. Take your gal, $40. You got popcorn, this, parking, that. You're $60. $60 still not a big price for a 25, 30 million, $100 million epic that you get to see on a giant screen with amazing sound with a big group of people and enjoy it. That's what going to the movies is all about, is enjoying a big movie with a bunch of mysterious friends who are all laughing and crying and screaming together. That's what movies are all about. So whether it's $30, it doesn't really matter. Like John was saying, I always use this when my friends are like, I don't want to subscribe to like whatever it is. It costs me another $8 a month. I can't afford that. And I'm at a bar with them. I'm drinking. I'm like, ha! Look what you just did for $8. You understand that? You had a month of flavor that you just drank in 10 seconds.
A month of flavor.
Yeah, you could have been watching stuff, typing around. Oh, I've got my list going. Instead, you wasted it on that beer. Here, now buy me one. With your other month that you just wasted. You can do that. The same mentality. It just doesn't work when you have to really think about it. Like, hey, if you love movies, then you save that like 30, 40, 50 bucks for every week to go Friday night, to go Saturday or Sunday at the matinee. You just do it. It's not even a thought process. If you're a big movie fan, you see 2-3 movies a week. So that's just how it is. If you're not, you might do other things, spend it on other things. But it's never been a price issue for me. That's just, as you get older, things get more expensive. So, all you new kids, stop torrenting. Go see that movie.
All right, folks. Well, that will do it for us. We've run out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to remind you once again, look in the description of this video for that Thor marathon information. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know I'm going to be there to see it. I want to thank, first of all, as always, sitting to my immediate right, writer, director, content producer, friend extraordinaire, Mr. John Schnepp. Schnepp, what do you got going on right now, and where can people find you online?
Well, you can find me at Twitter and Instagram on John Schnepp, and I just this weekend at Kamikaze launched my newest Kickstarter. It's called Unicron, the Unicorn Barbarian. It's about a unicorn barbarian. It's a futuristic animation, fantastic freak fest sword and sorcery. Just check it out. Go to Kickstarter, Unicron, the Unicorn Barbarian. Like maybe later in the week, John will put up a URL link at the AMC thing. But contribute what you can, or just share it if you want to. If you dig it, help me make it. That's the kind of mentality I have now with these Kickstarters. Is like, hey, instead of making a pilot on television, let's see if you actually want to see it, and then I'll make it. I mean, it's sort of like if no one wants to see it made, it's a win-win for me. Then it's like I'm not wasting my time. If you guys dig this idea, I will make it. So help me out.
All right, and of course, our lovely host sitting over there who's going to be at the Thor 2 premiere tonight, covering the red carpet for us, Miss Chris Lee Kennedy. Chris Lee, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Lee, and be sure to follow me tonight for some red carpet pictures.
And you can find me on all the various social networks, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, at John Campy. And I will also be tweeting a lot of and Instagramming a lot of videos and pictures tonight as I walk down the red carpet. It's going to be a lot of fun there tonight. So thank you so much for joining us, guys. Don't forget to join us again tomorrow for AMC Movie News. My name's John Campia, and until then, bye-bye.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news, and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.